Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing out there? Welcome to episode number 79 of the Daily BLP. I'm your host, Brian. We've also got Matt in our remote studio out in Denver, Colorado, from his lovely office there. How you doing, Matt?
Doing good. It's a beautiful day in Denver. Actually just went on a nice little walk, got a little coffee. It's about 70 here, so it's still surprising late October. It's still pretty hot out here, but no, doing good, and happy hump day.
Happy hump day. It is not 70 degrees here in Wisconsin. It is in the 40s. I think it might have gotten to the low 50s, but it's been kind of dreary and rainy. So fall is upon us, and soon it'll be snow. But you're going to have plenty of that too pretty soon. So
Yep. Enjoy it while it lasts, because then it starts to get really, really crazy. I'm excited for the snow, though.
Yeah, you're going to be close to all kinds of fun stuff.
Yep. So looking forward to it.
So since you've been in Denver, have you heard about the only tourist thing I've been out there is there's the casino that's kind of out of town to the west a little bit. It's like in between. Have you been out there?
Yeah, so I actually went there for my birthday during the summer. Went up to there. The area is called Blackhawk, and really, really cool. I'm in the Caesars kind of network, because when I was in Charlotte, that was on the Indian Reserve. That's what they had there was a Harrah's, and so they have a Caesars. That's what is it called? They have a Horseshoe there. They also have another beautiful one. I think it's like there's 4 or 5 casinos in that little area, but I have been there. Really beautiful drive. It's kind of like you're heading to Boulder, Colorado, but no, that's a really cool spot. So I have been there. I went there this summer, actually.
Cool. Yeah, we went out there a few years back when we were in Denver, and then we also went to Mount Evans.
Okay.
And drove to the top of that mountain. That was cool.
Nice.
But what's going on with you today? Anything fun to report back on? Any business dealings? Any excitement happening?
The only thing is kind of wrapping up, kind of the scope, price, all that stuff for that in-person testimonial we should be shooting next week. So just kind of putting all together the logistics for that. Been working on a new poker episode as well, so hopefully release that within the coming days here. But other than that, yeah, just business as usual. Some clips, videos, so just some business stuff. So nothing too crazy. How about yourself?
This morning had a initial onboarding meeting with one of these new clients that we got over the past week. So that was good. So I was up in Greenbay, up in Titletown.
Nice.
A little bit. You don't have to drive far in Greenbay to drive by Lambeau. So
yeah,
I was really tempted to stop and go in their pro shop, which is always fun. I don't own any Packer stuff. It's like I have a pretty agnostic view of sports in general. I just like the fashion of it, you know what I mean? But the one thing I've refused to do is get Packer stuff. I don't know why. I don't dislike the Packers. It's just something about it. Maybe it's just because it's so common here.
Yeah.
Like maybe if I had some Packers gear and I traveled somewhere and wore it, I'd be okay with that because I might not blend in as much, But so that was cool. No, it was a doctor's office up there. Met with their newly promoted office manager, and super nice lady. Her name is Allison. But she's super nervous and a little bit anxious and stressed out about taking things over with their person that's been doing things for so long, retiring, and just like leaving everything up to her to figure out. So we're coming in, we're going to take care of all their billing, all their coding, all their, revenue cycle in general, front end to back end. We're going to take care of it. And so I know she felt a little bit of relief from that, but she's still like, are you guys sure you're going to be able to start doing this by Monday? And so we worked through some things there. But our person on staff, Roxanne, she was out there with me I was just there to kind of like, as I say, shake hands and kiss babies and make everybody feel like, hey, this is going to be okay. But she was the one doing the real work, asking the real questions, gathering the real info.
Nice.
So I think that went really well. Really excited to kind of take those guys and, in general, just improve things. They've had some struggles the last year or so with their income, and we want to make those struggles go away as best we can. So that was fun. Drove around Green Bay a little bit. My wife sent me on a bit of an errand, which I didn't mind because I'm still basically a middle school boy at heart. So like a couple of weeks ago, we were out by the grandparents' house, and there's this really cool retro video game store in the Appleton area of Wisconsin. It's kind of like south of Green Bay. And it's called Press Start Games. So shout out to those guys. Great little store. Probably the best, most organized, cleanest, like most welcoming, like retro store. If you've ever been to those stores, sometimes it just feels like when you get in there and the people don't even want you there.
Yeah, and then you're spending like over $100 on a jersey, and you're like, okay, I want this experience to be good, you know?
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, but you go in there, you open the door, and it either makes like a Mario sound or a Zelda sound or something, just kind of gets you in the mood, right?
Yep.
And she always teases me because we always either stop there on the way out or on the way back, so I can browse and generally buy nothing. But I just like the nostalgia of it. And so she's like, hey, we were there a couple weeks ago. I bought this little thing for my daughter. She wanted this little Skylander thing. They don't even make them anymore. These little toys you put on a little thing and then you can play them in the game. Nobody really in our house plays anymore. We still have like 100 of these things in a box, and she found them and now she wants to play. So she bought another one, or I did. She wants to play it, but I think I got rid of all the little portal things that you plug into the system so that you can play. So she was super bummed. So I'm like, man, where am I going to find these? So she's like, stop at a couple stores near Green Bay and see if you can find one. So I stopped at one. Nope, they don't carry them anymore. Stopped at another, found two of them, one for our Nintendo Wii U and one for an Xbox, because apparently they're not interchangeable. So my 7-year-old daughter doesn't know I got those yet. She's gonna be really fired up that I got those. Hopefully we've got the stuff to get them working now. So that was kind of cool. But yeah, shout out to those type of little companies that have those little stores. They got to be doing some online sales. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe they aren't. But both of them I stopped in today, they were pretty well organized. One of them doesn't have nearly as much video game stuff. It's more like board games and card games like Pokemon and all those kind of things. But the guy that was there, older gentleman, super nice, and was actually kind of pleased that someone was there. And then the other store is fine, pretty organized, well kept up. But even then, like, I had one of the guys, he wasn't mean or anything. It just seemed like, he was behind the desk doing something on his computer, maybe inventory or something. And the fact that I wanted his help looking for these things, could kind of tell he was a little bit put out by it. Mm-hmm. And like, nothing gets under my skin in business than someone, I don't care if you're the owner or if you're an employee, but when you're like with a customer, like, you can't ever make them feel like they're putting you out for needing something from your business,
Yep. Agreed.
And retail is just one of those things, like, kind of like what we talk to a lot of our clients that are in doctor's offices and stuff, right? So, when you go to the doctor every year, you get older, you got to have to get in a physical. When you're younger, you got to get a physical to play sports. You got to go to the dentist. Or you got to go get glasses. Like, in your opinion, Matt, what's the most important interaction that you have when you go to like an actual clinic?
Yeah, Jeff, definitely that person that first greets you when you go check in, things like that. Yeah, 100%. Especially because you're going in there sometimes nervous. Doctor's office aren't the most comfortable places to be. So yeah, definitely.
Yep. And I think we've probably all had those ones that are like super welcoming, knows your name, happy to see you. And then you've had those ones that they don't want anything to do with you. You're lucky if they look up from the computer, or if they don't just like hide and run away, or just say something like, fill this out, go sit down, or I got you checked in, go sit down. You know what I mean? It's like, all that makes you want to do is just turn around and leave. And I've 100%. Actually had instances like that where I'm like, okay, let me just reschedule this and then cancel it later, because there's no way.
Yep.
So same thing with the retail experience. You don't want someone following you around like a shadow, but at the same time, you don't want people acting like they don't want you there. You know what I mean?
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. That's like, we should reach out to the guy, because the guy who I don't remember his name, that owns that store in Appleton. He does a really good job. Staff's really cool. We should reach out to him for the big show. I think that'd be a good local find.
Nice. Yeah. Love to.
I'll try to find out what his name is.
Cool. Love it.
Let me look real quick. Press start games, Appleton. And like, I've probably been stopping by this place with my kids for the last 4 or 5 years, and they've just grown. They used to be they've been in the same like kind of strip area.
Yeah, right.
But they started out as like one little single thing, and then they grew to like a double wide, now they're in the corner spot that's like 3 times the size. So they just, they're doing a good job. They just keep growing.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I'll figure out what his name is and maybe send him over to you and just see if he wants to be on the show. Just say, hey,
would love to.
the guy
Sounds
that
like
shops every time he's in town. We featured you on the show the other day on our daily show. Come on the big show.
Yep.
Speaking of the big show, I haven't told you this yet because this person just reached out to me yesterday, but one of our previous guests from a year or so ago, it's probably been longer now, I don't know. Do you remember Deanne Schaefer? She was the photographer we had on.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
The first time we did an in-person show.
Yes.
Yeah, so she reached out to me the other day. She's taken pictures a few times for our family over the years, and she's a pretty good friend of my wife from a standpoint of, they keep in touch semi-regularly. And so she reached out to me and said, hey, it's been a long time. Are you still doing the show? I've been considering starting a podcast. Wanted to talk to you. Do you have time to meet? Wanted to talk to you to see if you think something like this makes sense for us, or is there a good ROI on it, blah, blah, blah. So I said, sure, love to meet. I do a daily show now. Why don't you just come on the daily show? And the daily show will be the conversation about whether you should do a podcast or not. And she's like, that sounds like a great idea. Nice. So it's going to be in a couple weeks.
Okay.
The end of next week, we're going to start moving the office to our new office.
Okay.
So a lot of next week, we're going to be moving stuff around. I might not even have the studio set up. So I might be just doing the show from my laptop for a few days. And then the following week, it's going to be putting things back together. So we're looking at the week of November 10th.
Okay.
Bringing her in studio. So once I know that date, I want to make sure that you can be there. You're almost always here, but I want to make sure you can be there because I think you would be a good perspective of, because I can talk from it from a standpoint of someone who has the podcast and who has had someone like you help me build it, right, and manage it and maintain it and promote it. But you have different perspectives from different types of clients and all that kind of stuff.
Definitely.
So
yep.
I think that would be good. I think that'll make a good show.
Cool. Yeah, agreed. 100%.
So what else? Anything else happening? Just trying to think. I think yeah, that's about it. I think that's about it.
Yep.
What's anything big happened in the world? That
I forgot to mention it yesterday, but the AWS going down. What was it? Either Sunday or Monday. That was a pretty big deal for a lot of people. It didn't really affect.
That must have been what happened with Riverside on Monday.
Yep, you're right. That's probably exactly what it was, because big companies like that do use AWS. I didn't even think of that. So wow. So yeah. So that makes sense with Riverside, and you can only imagine the plethora of other companies that were affected by that as well.
Yeah, I mean, right. It was when I was trying to get logged in. I could get logged in, and then the screen where it says you're using headphones, you're not, that kind of thing. Not using go to right on the top. It said we're experiencing problems with our AWS servers. You might have issues getting to some historical content or something like that, but we couldn't even get logged in.
Yeah.
So that was that.
Yep.
Did anybody ever say what happened, or did they just went down?
I've heard rumors across things where it was one guy and he was fired before. There was some LinkedIn post that a guy made, but people were saying that was just kind of a joke post. There's a lot of things going around. My guess would be is Amazon probably keeps the specifics a little bit under wraps, maybe, but I'm really not sure. I didn't look too much into it, but some of my buddies
department's got to put some spin on it.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I got a couple buddies that work for Amazon, so they were talking about it, but didn't really go too much into specifics there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Massive AWS outage occurred October 20th, affecting U.S. East 1 region in Northern Virginia. That's your stomping grounds, man.
Yep. Nova.
The disruption was caused by an issue related to the domain name DNS for the regional DynamoDB service endpoints, which caused widespread failures for thousands of websites, applications, other services. Yeah. I mean, that's the kind of thing. I mean, it was one day maybe, right?
Yeah.
But imagine for someone like Riverside, who's a completely all cloud platform. There's no option to download the app and run it offline and do things like that.
Yeah.
They must have been sweating bullets for a day.
Yeah, because I know I know they're a young company because when I
Yeah.
was first starting out, I was like on their first where they were like, "Hey, we're coming out with these." Because if I'm not mistaken, one of their co-founders, I want to say Zencaster or something of that nature, because that's what we used to use as Zencaster when we first started
Okay.
this 5 years ago. And Zencaster only really did audio, and then we moved to. I'm blanking on the name, but another one that did video, but it wasn't as good. And then Riverside came out, and these John and Justin, I believe, are the two gentlemen that do it, or that might be Transistor, but I forget the Riverside founders. But they like sent out a mass email. They got like a mail list from either Zencaster or something. And they're like, "Hey, we're coming out with this. Would love for you to try it out, X, Y, and
Mm.
Z." And so that was 5 years ago. And then now I'm seeing, Gary Vee uses it. I think like big companies like Nike, for example, that could be wrong, but like big companies like that use it. So I mean, there were a lot of people affected by that, and especially with something like Riverside. I mean, that's just not really a good look. Like you said, things happen. Amazon, things happen. People are probably understanding because if it's a big company like Nike, they probably can't do their work because they're probably on AWS as well. So it all comes down to that. But yeah, it's been really interesting because of all the big names that have started to use Riverside now.
Yeah, and whether it's Riverside or somebody else, it's like you wonder, because what generally happens is when we talk to people in IT support or IT managed services situations, people come to us with questions, whether it's our clients or folks that might be looking to be our clients, and they don't, they think they don't do anything in the cloud, but everybody's doing stuff in the cloud, right? Everybody's either
100%.
banking or on Facebook or on LinkedIn, or they're doing stuff in the cloud. People just don't, like, businesses typically, whether they're owners or they're managers or whatever, a lot of the times they don't think they're in the cloud because they still have their server and they still have their computers in front of them and they're doing things that way. And that
Yep.
might be true. They might have their line of business application, ERP system, something like that. They're running QuickBooks on their server. They've got Microsoft Office documents and they're saving them to their server. So they might not be doing business that way in the cloud, but they're doing some stuff in the cloud either personally or not. And the question is, well, what's going to happen if we move all of our stuff up to the cloud and somebody turns off the cloud, or
Yeah.
the cloud breaks, or it gets sunny and there's no more clouds?
Yeah.
Right? It's like, and my retort to that has always been, and it still kind of is, but there's got to be a caveat when these kind of things happen. What I generally say, and they ask security wise too, what happens if that company gets hacked? And I'm like, that's a totally fair question. And I always say, who do you think has more money to put into security? You or Microsoft? You or Google? You or Amazon? You name the company that you're going to do things in the cloud with, right? The answer is always, because we're not working with any giant enterprise companies, is always, well, they do, by 100-fold, probably 1,000-fold, right? Not even close, budget wise. But that doesn't always mean that if something happens, you're not going to be at risk, right?
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Big companies that have your information get hacked all the time. They're huge targets on the highway of, internet hacking traffic. And if, your name is on one of their internal servers or whatever, and they get hacked, now somebody else has your information, right? That happens all the time, even to our government, big companies, small companies, you name it. So, but when something like this happens, I also like to talk about, usually these companies, I'll tell our clients, whatever you're going to work with, whether it's something we're suggesting they work, let's say we're going to do your data backup, workstation backup or your server backups, and we're going to back them up locally on a drive just in case, but we're also going to back them up to the cloud in case, someone sets off a fire alarm and everything gets wet and stops working. We can get you another computer, pull the information down and get back to work.
Yep.
But what we generally like to make sure is that wherever that information's sitting, is it replicating somewhere? Is it going somewhere else in case, the east side, server farm, like we're talking about with AWS, if it goes down, well, what should be happening is there should be instant failover to another data center.
Yep.
Usually they say replicate and triplicate in those data centers. That obviously, from the information we have, which is very little, didn't happen. If one, big data center or one big huge facility, or even many facilities went down on the East Coast. Maybe they were just replicating to themselves in that area. And if that all goes down, well, then that's not helpful.
Yep.
So what does someone like Riverside do? What do they say? Okay, we're gonna work out of AWS, but we're gonna replicate to Azure, Microsoft's product, or we're gonna replicate to Google's infrastructure or something like that. Now, does the I don't even know if that's possible, to be honest, but probably is. But yeah, I guarantee it is. But it's like, is it not enough for Amazon to say, we got you covered in multiple data centers? If, Northern Virginia goes down, we're going to move you over to Midwest, or we're going to move you over to the West Coast, or we're going to move you over to, Sweden or something,
Yep.
That didn't seem to be the case. Maybe they just didn't pay for that service, because a lot of those times it's an upcharge.
Yeah, exactly.
And Riverside could still be like a relatively small company. I guarantee they're not like thousands of employees yet. Hopefully they are someday, if that's what they want to be, because I think they have a great product. But they might not have the means to do all that yet. But I don't know how many clients they have or how much server space they need. They obviously are getting good performance because we're able to do what we do, and have a relatively good guarantee that as we're doing podcasts, or even if we're not recording live, but we've got someone in live from somewhere else, they've got a good setup where stuff is recording on theirs and stuff is recording on ours. Regardless of where the cloud server is, it's going there from our end. If something goes wrong, it's still gonna sync up and look good. So, but
exactly.
Maybe the option, it could be an added feature down the road. I don't know. I'm just kind of rambling as I think about this. Maybe an option for them is to have something like a feature set that says, not only can it work like it's working here as we're doing this show, but I can toggle that I want this this whole thing downloading to my device, where I can have access to it if I need to, as opposed to, because what happens is it's doing something on our device, but then it's uploading it, right? And then when the show's all done and we go into the editing, we can go into projects and then export everything. Audio, video, all that stuff. Super nice, super cool. But there again, if something's going on with AWS, all their clients can't do anything.
Yep, exactly.
So
yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, and it's crazy to just see how much one company can just influence and affect so many others. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what other companies, what were the major companies affected. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
I probably spelled the wrong affected. I'm in sales, so I don't need to spell right. Social media and communication, Snapchat, Reddit, Pinterest, Signal. What are all the people complaining on Reddit? What did they do that day? Did they just like write things down in their journal?
Yeah, I don't know. I see Fortnite and Snapchat too, so it even affected stuff like that.
Pinterest, Signal, WhatsApp, Slack, Microsoft Teams. I'll be honest, a lot of these things the world would probably be a better place without. So I'm just kidding. I'm sure there's a lot of sad people. A lot of people work at these places and depend on these things to function, right?
Yeah,
really,
exactly.
PlayStation Network was down. I guess I didn't do any gaming on Monday. Nope. Pokemon Go. This is a weekend where I'm practicing a lot to play at church on Sunday, so I don't get in front of the gamey games much this week. Coinbase, Venmo, Chime, lots. Dude. Roku, Apple Music, Disney Plus, Hulu, Netflix.
That's why we were having issues with my Roku TV. Okay, it was really interesting. We turned on the Roku TV, and it was saying it wasn't connected to the network, and the network wouldn't show up and all that stuff. So that explains that. Okay, interesting.
Well, I think that's definitely interesting, right, from a personal level. But from a macro level, what's interesting is this is just a blip, right?
Yep.
Like all these things and most of these things are entertainment. Ooh, Pokemon Go was down. I didn't even know that was still a thing. A lot of these things are entertainment related. Some of it's finance, Robinhood, Chime, Venmo, Coinbase. These are money related. Like I can't get my payments.
Yeah.
Right. Man, like you don't think about this very often, but when you look at lists of things like this that were, let's say, affected for a short period of time, and I mean, if it wasn't for what happened with me trying to get on Riverside, didn't even make the list, right? Trying to get on Riverside, I probably wouldn't have even known until later the next day, or someone on the team told me about it.
Right. Yeah.
We don't use, for our company, we don't use AWS at all. We don't like their fee structure. It's kind of based on volume usage and stuff, and it's hard to predict. But so much of what we do depends on these cloud-based applications and services, how we get our money, how we give our money, how we entertain ourselves, how we get our food. I don't see any of those platforms on here. Amazon Prime Video, like, you know what it doesn't show? Okay, American Airlines and Delta Airlines experienced flight delays and disruptions to their apps. Okay, Lyft experienced downtime. Instacart, DoorDash were affected. So yeah, people, how they get their food.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is, I'm not trying to be hyperbolic, but I think this is a really, it's kind of like, it's not a big deal for a day. But what would happen if this was down for a month?
Yeah, if it was down for, I don't even know. I mean, everything would be affected. People probably couldn't do their jobs in some instances, I would say.
The Duolingo, New York Times, Adobe Creative Cloud, McDonald's app. Oh, can't get my Mickey D's. I was just thinking I haven't had McDonald's in so long. Blink cameras, Ring doorbells. My Eufy doorbells would probably not work because my Eufy camera stuff, because that's an Amazon product. They own Eufy now, but it doesn't show them on here. That's a big list.
Yeah, no, it really is. Yeah, it's a big list, and probably so many more smaller companies that we use on a daily basis that are even affected as well. Like Riverside.
What if it was a company that was like talking about like door cameras and stuff? What you can get like app enabled, Bluetooth enabled, like all this stuff enabled, like actual door locks.
Yeah.
I mean, what if you couldn't unlock your doors and you decided to leave your keys home that day? You know what I mean? And not have them with you or something.
Exactly.
You know?
Yep. Interesting stuff.
Crazy. Cool. I think it's just one of those things that shows when it comes to how quickly we've become dependent on things that are just located in another company's infrastructure and responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, when we sign up for services that we enjoy, like a Netflix or like, you know, using Roku, like there's one of my daughters has a Roku TV in her room. I don't know if I didn't notice anything, but it's like we just do those things so automatically. We don't even think about down the road, if we can't access this, is there any recourse?
Right.
You know what I mean?
100%.
So I don't know.
We shall see.
It's like sometimes I think about my truck. Like I love my truck. It's got a lot of bells and whistles. It's got a lot of tech built into it, but like, and I love the creature comforts of it, you know, heated seats and cooled seats and all that fun stuff. But sometimes I wish I just had a simple, big old truck from like the late 70s. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
Something that if it went down, I could fix it. You know, it's funny. My wife says I can't go back to not having heated seats and stuff. I'm like, really? Let's just get rid of. Let's get rid of your nice. Not Tahoe, but Yukon, and let's get you an old Suburban from like when they came out. She's like, I couldn't do it. There's no way. I'm like, you're kidding me? I mean, just the smell of the engine coming through, you know, the heater as you're driving on a cold winter morning. You don't need to worry about electric heated seats because they're cloth. They don't get cold like leather, so they're cloth, and your butt warms them really quick. And she's like, there's no way. There's no way. We used to have one of those old Suburbans. We thought it was cool that it had vents in the top halfway back that would shoot air back there.
Yeah.
That was like fancy.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I got today. Fun show.
Cool. Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Learned a lot. And we'll be back tomorrow, and we'll see what happens in the world the rest of the day today.
Yeah, let's keep it clean, everybody. No crazy stuff. Go home, get some rest, eat some good food, enjoy time with your family and friends, and we'll see you back tomorrow.
Yes, sir. See you guys. Take care, guys.
Take care.